So this is one of the first samples of the type of question that they might have looked for in the exam. So I've written 2000 here, 13 higher level. That's a mistake. It was actually the state exam sample. So in case you're looking back on papers for solutions, that's not correct. There was never a solution given to this as such. But it's a good question for this topic because it covers all the basics. Okay, so it's based on a parabola here, and you're asked to draw an elevation and project a plan. So in this case, in most of the ones that they've given since this, they've shown what the plan is going to look like, but they wouldn't have to. So just in case they give a question and say, this is the projection parabola, this is the front view, and you had no idea what the plan view was to look like, and this is how you go about doing it. So I suppose the first thing is just to look at the sizes. So the scale is one is to do with 200. So what I need to do here is basically I need to change this to millimeters. So that will become 120 millimeters. That will become 120 millimeters. So both of them are 24. And that will become 100 millimeters. Now, the first thing that I would do is if I'm changing them sizes, this is how I'd mark it, be it on your exam paper or whatever. So that way you don't make a mistake and come back and forget, or you forget to have divided something, or what would you say, you use one of them that's scaled down and one of them that's not. I suppose if you wanted to see the maths of it, right, if any of you didn't understand what I did there, 20 meters, there's 1,000 millimeters in 20 meters. So basically we write it out as 20,000 millimeters, and we divide it by 200. So if I mark 200 into that, I can knock off, that becomes twice, 2 into 200, or sorry, that knocks off the 2 zeros, that gives me 100. So I know that basically I'm half on that, and then adding on a 0 to convert into millimeters, or if I half it, that's it in centimeters. Now, when I lay this out, this question won't really fit here. It will fit if I ignore the border. Right, so what I'm going to do is, let's see, the height is 120. So I'll come down a distance. Let me see if I have a dark pen. I'm going to draw a ground line. Now, I'm just looking at, I won't come down 130. I won't come down much further than that again, just in case I have an issue. So really what I need is 220 millimeters here. Oh, so yeah, I'll just get away with it. Okay, so I'm going to come in just barely, a bare distance here, right, and I'll come across 120. Okay, and then I'm going to leave a gap of, let's see, will I get away with 10? Just, maybe only 5. Okay, I'm only going to leave a gap of 5. Oh no, I'll get away with 10. Sorry, it's 100 millimeters in this view. Yeah, okay, so it's 100, so that'll work. Okay, so it's not actually, I thought it was going to be very, very tight for space. So I come in just a small gap there. I've measured my 120, and now what I'm going to do is I'm going to draw the rectangles like I would for the parabola. So this is a parabola here. We'll start with this one here, and we know that the height of it is 120. We'll hook to 120, and this across to it. So while it's tight, just so it fits. Okay, and then we'll do our normal typical parabola construction. So half 100 is 50. So there's my center line going up the middle. We'll mark our vertex, which is point B. We have A on this side and we have C on this side. And what they tell us basically is, well, they don't tell us that, they tell us it's a parabola, it's a generated parabola. So 120 divided by 5. So again, as I said, the quick way to do it is knock off the 0, add it to itself. 12 and 12 is 24. So we'll have 24, 48, 72, and 96. Okay, once I'm happy with them. Now again, you can bring a calculator with you on the day for this exam, which makes life a little bit simpler. So have I a yellow or something different? Just under my board. Okay, so we'll join these up. Hopefully that yellow isn't. So that's just B written there. I've just gone slightly off the page with the visualizer. Okay. So these ones go up at a diagonal, which we're well able to do at this stage, and most people shouldn't have any major problem with that. And then we have 50 to split, which is very easy, 10, 20, 30, 40. Now if I was doing this in an exam, if this question came up, I probably would do the division line method on one side, just in case it's expected. I wouldn't think you'd have to do it. You know, if that's an even size, divides evenly, you have a set square that sits on that exact millimeter that it splits into. But just in case, there might be no harm in doing the division line method in case they're expecting it, and in case they decide that they're going to give a mark for that. So you could, as I said before, mirror this across, but I would usually just continue on with the method that I'm used to, because it's probably as quick. There's less setting of the compass. It's also probably slightly more accurate because you're less likely to accidentally use an incorrect point on the compass. So there's my generating parabola. Now they would draw this as a hidden line. I'm going to draw it as a solid line because I don't know when I draw the lines across for the heights whether I'm going to have a width accidentally going slightly through that. So I draw it as a solid line. If I want, maybe at the end I might come back with my rubber and just make it look a little bit more hidden. It's not really a hidden line, it's more so just to show that it's a generating line. Okay, so what we're going to do now, again, we're going to make this part here. Now if you read this, you'll see that this is also a parabola. Obviously it's half a parabola. So I'm going to ignore the 15-degree line for a minute. I'll draw this up. Okay, now I'm not going to project the line straight across, I'm just going to line it up. Just so that you don't get confused that they're two separate rectangles. Okay, so 120, we know that's 24. So 24, 48, 72, and 96. And again, I can just mark these points. So if I drawn this rectangle at the start, I could have marked them a little bit quicker at the same time. Okay, so this is my vertex B. Again, I'll just pull that down a little bit off there. This is AC. So they're sort of showing that the parabola is here standing at the front. And then we have point D here. So I'll use my yellow again. These ones will go at a diagonal to join up to B. And these ones here will just. So again, you could number these 1, 2, 3, 4 if you're not sure which ones are which. But at this stage, we should probably be well enough accustomed to doing parabolas to figure out which one is which. Okay. I'm just drawing an X. So I suppose one thing that I would have mentioned before is if you do want to highlight them, highlight them with a neat X written with your pencil or a single dot. Don't draw a football, don't draw a big circle. That would be inaccurate. So the last bit here we need to do is we need to do this 15 degrees. Now you can do this with a protractor. If you have a protractor, if you have your adjustable set square, it's the easiest. So we just twist that around until we're between 15 and 20. So we're at 15 degrees there. We'll slide this up like so, and we'll draw this. Okay. If you have a protractor, which I don't have handy, I actually have one handy. Let me just see. One in this box. Okay, so I have one here. If you have a protractor, this angle here has to be 15 degrees. So you actually have to do a little bit of, well, no, I suppose you can twist it around this way. Okay, so put your mark there. It might protract a little bit worn. Put a dot here for 15 degrees and then draw it down like that. If you had neither of those, you could just guess this angle to make it look roughly. It's actually about, it's not quite halfway between those two lines, but about a third of the way across. The reason to guess it is just because really they're not worried. You're not going to make much of a difference if you draw that at a slightly different angle. They just want to see that you know how to do the method. Okay, so that's the setup of the question done.